Yeah, we like talking about music. It's what we do on Arrow.net, ARROE.net. We are unplugged and totally uncut with John Cafiero from Osaka Popstar. Dude, I have been so entertained by this collection of music. I hope you had just as much fun as we're getting it on this side.
Oh, thanks so much. I really appreciate that. That's amazing to hear. And yeah, it really was a lot of fun to do, and I'm glad that it's fun for you to listen to.
Where did you come up with the idea to do this? Is this something you've been carrying along with you your entire life?
Osaka Popstar generally, sure, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really came to fruition when I started the band, but it's definitely the natural extension of my personality just come into full bloom.
Well, I love the fact that it has that punk rock edge, because I was reading from Rolling Stone that we are headed into another punk rock movement. This really fits in, dude.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, punk rock has always been, I like a lot of different music, but punk rock has always been my absolute favorite, and in particular the Ramones from the time I was a little kid, and the Misfits, and it's just the style of music that I have always loved and wanted to play, and it comes into the vibe of Osaka Popstar with my own little unique flavor, because everything that it is involved with it is really, truly an extension of the things that I love in my personality.
How do you best describe punk rock? And the reason why I bring that up is because I've been with the Sex Pistols, and each of them has said, Arrow, it's the blues. We're telling people what was going wrong in their life. It's the blues.
I mean, you know, to me, really, and, you know, it's funny because Joey Ramone had the same philosophy. I think punk rock is more about completely being yourself and doing whatever it is that you're inspired to do, regardless of whatever the rules or restrictions or confines of what society or even just people in general's preconceived notions may be. It's really just doing your own thing. Now, of course, punk rock comes with the stigma of loud and fast, but at the core, I really think it's more about individuality than anything else.
You guys do a cover song of Sugar Sugar. This is the most original. I mean, if you were on America's Got Talent, they'd be going, you won, automatic win.
Well, thank you. I'm really glad you dig it. I'm so happy with the way it turned out. We wanted to just completely amp it up, do it in sort of that Ramones-y homage style, but with the flair and flavor that Osaka Popstar brings to it that's a little bit unique. And it ties in really perfectly to the theme of the record. I mean, obviously the record's called Ear Candy, and the record itself, the physical edition, both the CD as well as the vinyl, comes with a download card that includes a 32-page comic book that debuts a new character and a new comic book series called Sweetie Candy Vigilante. And there's actually a scene in the comic book where Sweetie, who creates these handcrafted confectionery weapons that are lethal to bad people but scrumptious to good people, wipes out a whole slew of bad guys in a bar while she's listening to Osaka Popstar's cover of Sugar Sugar on a jukebox.
You got to love the idea that the internet is finally being used as a tool with music, because, you know, back in the 90s, it was that one thing that seemed to be a thorn in the side.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, the good part of the internet is that it does give you that expansion where you can get more out there for people to have as a supplement to what's going on within the record itself. I mean, again, with this record, there's all of the music, but in addition to that, there's all of this artwork within the packaging, and then that artwork all comes to life in an animated music video that will be dropping online this week for the singles Lost and Found. And in fact, in that video, which stars Fred Armisen in animated form, there are also homages to the Archies, to the Partridge Family, and the Monkees that really become more possible than ever and more organic by doing it in an animated world.
Are you old enough to remember the Archies and the Monkees?
I am, yes, absolutely.
Wow.
It's some of my earliest musical memories.
Wow. Yeah, because, I mean, well, you're right. I think that's what inspired me to pick up that acoustic guitar, because I wanted to be just as everyday as these guys.
Yeah, and they weren't very everyday either. They were, and that's why they kind of fit the thread of this record, is that I wanted to sort of pay homage to these other bands that I felt went beyond the confines of the average band, and that's something that I really like to do and strive to do with Osaka Popstar, and it just seemed like a perfect marriage of the original material with some of these covers, all for this specific record, Ear Candy, because that's what it is. I mean, it is ear candy, and a lot of those classic pop songs fit that description perfectly. We just kind of turn them upside down and play them amped up in a new style, but at the core, there's still those incredible pop hits.
The vibe that I got when I first listened to it was, I actually looked at my wife and said, this reminds me of the K-Tel record days where you got something extra special when you would pop the needle in a certain area.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love all that. I love, things that expand on the world and make things more fun for the listener or the viewer, and that's really the approach here. I mean, the record itself, I don't know if you've seen the vinyl.
Yes.
But the vinyl literally looks just like the candy-bitten record that Sweetie is holding on the cover of the album.
So to put the thought process into that, I mean, to be at that board meeting where everybody's going, okay, so what's your idea? All of a sudden it starts to materialize. As a creative person, I mean, that's got to really open up your imagination.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and it's so amazing to be able to translate something like that into physical form. I mean, at first, when I wanted to make the record look just like what it is that you see Sweetie holding on the cover, nobody had really done anything like this. And through various methods of printing on the opposite side of clear vinyl, it became possible. And when the end result came out, even the plant that was involved said, we've never seen anything like this. It's really something special. So I was thrilled with that. I mean, literally, the record looks like it has a bite taken out of it, and it looks like it's made of candy. So when you're playing it on your turntable, you're seeing that record cover come to life.
Maybe it's the old record guy in me or the old radio guy in me, but this is the kind of stuff where you buy 2 copies and you put one in a frame because, I mean, it's artwork.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I'm certainly doing that, so I hope that other people who appreciate it will too. And I do that quite a bit. I'll buy 2 of things that I really like, so I have one that I could either keep sealed or display, and another one to just, wear out.
So when you record a song from the Partridge Family, I Think I Love You, when you wrap up that recording, do you just sit there and giggle like a child, like, oh my God, I can't believe we just did what we did?
Yeah, it was really a lot of fun. It really was, and again, a very early musical memory for me, and getting to do a new version of it was just like an absolute blast, and it just felt so natural even doing it. I mean, there's some people that I know who've said, wow, that's so hard to sing that song.
Yeah.
You did such a great job with it, and I was thrilled because for whatever reason, it was almost as basic as talking. It just felt so natural to me that I love it. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, the whole thing was just really a blast to do.
Did you feel the ghost of David Cassidy step inside that studio with you?
Yeah, I kind of did, and we had, believe it or not, we had recorded this. He was still alive when it was recorded, and I had always hoped that he would get to hear it, and sadly, he's no longer with us.
One of the things that you guys are doing with Osaka Popstar is the fact that we are in this EDM world, but you are bringing rock forward, up to the fans themselves.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, rock really needs to be preserved. I mean, Again, I like all kinds of music, but rock and roll really does need to be preserved, and it's an honor to me to hear you say that. It's my pleasure to do that. I mean, I felt like back in the 70s, that's what the Ramones were trying to do, is they were trying to preserve the core of rock and roll, and stuff like from the 1950s, and the Misfits certainly had some of that aspects to them as well, and, there was so much progressive rock going on in the 70s that's what created the punk movement, is that people were looking to do something that was a throwback and something that was different and wasn't so self-indulgent. And, I'm just trying to do something that's fun and entertaining that I enjoy, and if other people do too, then that's the highest compliment.
Well, look at what you did with the Monkey song. I mean, out of all the songs that you could have recorded, you went with All Your Toys.
Yeah, when I first heard that song, I kind of could hear the version that we ultimately recorded in my head. I just thought, wow, this would translate really well. I would love to do it. It's funny because even when we were in the studio, Dean, my guitarist, when I was saying, all right, play it this way, and he was like, well, the intro, the original, doesn't really go exactly like that. And I was like, I know, but this is our version, and it's a truncated reinterpretation of it, and then once we started playing it, everybody was like, yeah, that really fits perfectly. And to me, it's still the same music as the original, it's just done in a different way. And I thought all of Your Toys was a really rare find, because it was a Monkees track that had been lost for years. And then when Rhino, Harold Bronson, and Richard Foos, who have always inspired me as a kid, the things that they did with Rhino from the early days onward, if it wasn't for them, I don't think that track would have ever been heard, because when they started reissuing Monkees stuff in the 90s, they found that on a reel, and it was unreleased. So when I heard it, yeah, I just thought this would be great, and it was really, to me, it was a pairing with Lost and Found, the original cut, and when we were doing Sugar Sugar, I felt that I Think I Love You was a pairing with that.
Well, the song itself, I mean, instantly I was thinking of Alan Williams, who's the creator of this Monkees internet radio station where they feature cover songs from the Monkees as well as the Monkees. I totally see him just going all out on this song.
Well, I hope he enjoys it. I hope that Monkees fans really dig it. And in fact, the animated music video for Lost and Found has a pretty cool little Monkees homage in it, too, that'll be dropping later this week. Yeah.
So now, with all the creativity that you've got with Osaka Popstar, does Dr. Demento knock on your door, or do you still knock on his door?
We knock on each other's door. I typically speak to him about once a week, and we stay in constant communication. And honestly, I'm in production on Dr. Demento Covered in Punk Volume 2. Nice,
man. You're so connected, and you're not afraid to talk about it. That to me is the real rock star.
Yeah, look, I'm very fortunate to get to do things that I love and deal with people that have inspired me and that I appreciate and admire. And, it's a great life, and I feel very fortunate to have done many of the things that I've done, and I'll keep doing it as long as I can.
So where do people go, John? They want to find out more about you. They want to know your history. They want to give you some love by buying this.
Please, if you're interested in more information, or even just want to check out the world of Osaka Popstar and some of the artwork and the things that I'm up to, go to OsakaPopstar.com. If you want to know more about the stuff that I'm doing with Dr. Demento, you could go to DementedPunk.com. And if you want to know more about the stuff that I'm doing with the Misfits, you could go to MisfitsRecords.com. But essentially, for Ear Candy and Sweetie Candy Vigilante and everything involved in that world, hit up OsakaPopstar.com, and it'll eventually lead you to everything else as well. You can follow me on social media with basically at my name, at John Cafiero.
Man, you got to come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you, John.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Arrow. I really appreciate it. And I've got to say, I've always remembered the interview that you did with Dr. Demento and I thought it was a really great interview, and you really handle things well and get into it. So I appreciate that very much.
Oh, my God. Thank you for bringing that up, because that's one of those conversations that I had that really changed me, because it's like, you grow up listening to somebody like Dr. Demento, and then that person that inspired you to even take a chance in radio is right there.
Yeah, no, he's great, and he's still going strong. He does a new show every week, and yeah, I really do remember the interview that you did. I thought it was an excellent interview, and it was so much fun because you were genuinely knowledgeable and enthused, just as this was. I really appreciate that, and I would love to come back anytime. Thanks for doing what you do.
You bet, man. You be brilliant today, okay?
Thanks. You too, Arrow. I appreciate it. Have a good one.